Have you ever considered not letting Jennifer meet Ben Affleck because he has dated both Lopez and Garner?
Oh, gosh.
Do you worry about that if you work on a movie together?
If he also dates Aniston, then I will start considering it.
Then you'll be worried. Okay.
Then I'll be worried because I feel like that's like the three Jennifers, the three big Jennifers of Hollywood.
The big three Jennifers.
Yeah,
Just like we used to have the big five movie studios, we now have the big three Jennifers.
And pretty soon it's probably going to be the big three movie studios too because they're all dying.
That's true. Maybe he's just the big one, Disney. Or maybe, dare I say it, Miramax.
Oh, God. Podcast. This is David, as usual, telling my co-host Brandon that it's not his fault.
Thank you. It is not my fault.
It's not your fault.
I like that. That's a good...
Yeah, you would have thought that I would think of that for my opener, but I didn't.
That's okay. It's one of Hollywood's most pressing issues. Who is Ben Affleck going to date next? It could be either one of us.
We're going to do... Probably me because you're in Hollywood, or you're in Wisconsin and I'm here, so he's closer. Unless he wants to move to Wisconsin. You never know.
He might. I mean, I'm closer to Massachusetts, if that's true. I don't know if that factors in at all.
That's very, very true. I was also going to say we could have done an opener about Matt Damon, but the only thing we could talk about is his rivalry with Jimmy Kimmel.
Did you fall down that Wikipedia rabbit hole while researching as well?
I did not because I already knew about it. So I was like, you know what? I don't have enough time to do that.
I mean, I knew about it, but I learned that there is an actual feud page on Wikipedia about their feud.
Between them?
Yeah, it's like, it's not as good as the Kendrick Lamar Drake one, which is treated as an actual war on Wikipedia, but it's up there.
I still remember, this is a total tangent, by the way, but I still remember seeing a post that someone put on Reddit where they had edited someone's profile page on Wikipedia to pretty much the whole page was like he could have. Bob whatever could be an actor possibly from this place. He could have won the Academy, he might have won the Academy, stuff like that. It was just the funniest thing ever if you actually saw that. And they were pretty much posting because they were mad that they got reverted back to a normal page where it was like, oh, this guy's an actor, blah, blah, blah. We could do a whole episode on Wikipedia, but
we should do a deep dive on Wikipedia, and we should talk about what we want our pages to be about, or how we want them to be structured, and what we want the uncultured pop culture page to say.
So then the fans can actually make it for us.
Are we based in Los Angeles, California? Maybe we are. See, that's a whole debate.
Or Wisconsin, or are we just based in the web?
Or are we just based?
I'm
cutting that out, by the way.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe since I addressed it, I have to leave it in.
That. That was really funny.
That's really bad. I hate that so much. Anyway, what have you watched in the past week?
So, this is a movie that I actually watched a little while ago. I want to say 2 weeks ago, but I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was really fun. Have you ever heard of the 90s Disney movie called The Rocketeer?
I have not.
So it's, I believe, based off of a comic. It's a superhero kind of film, but it doesn't feel like one because it's a period piece. It's set in the 40s, during World War II. And it's all about pretty much this guy that loves airplanes who finds, the first jetpack that Howard Hughes developed. And he becomes this guy that saves Los Angeles from a bunch of Nazis. It's actually a really fun kids movie. I wouldn't, maybe not a kids movie, but for 12, 13, 14-year-olds, which I guess is kids. It is very silly and over the top, but it has heart, which I feel like a lot of movies for kids these days are missing. And I would recommend. I think I wish more people knew about it and talked about it because I thought it was a lot of fun.
That sounds good. We need to do at least one children's movie a season on here, maybe multiple, because I think it's such an interesting market that is kind of dying out, sadly.
Very sadly. It's the only things that are left are animated films, and even then, like not all animated films are for kids.
Yeah, and
So,
you just
yeah,
have the endless sequels. What are we on? Despicable Me, like 6? And then the
exactly.
Minions has
Something
like
like that.
4, and then there's spin-offs of that. I don't know.
But speaking of spin-offs, I don't know, that's not a good tangent because I'm not going to
No.
ask you about spin-offs, but what have you been listening to?
In a way, it is a spin-off because it's S.G. Lewis, who we covered on the
That's true.
podcast. And he
That's very
spun
true.
off from the network of uncultured pop culture and decided to release an album. Anyway, it's called Anamoya, and it's good. Unfortunately, I didn't like it that much, but I know you also listened to it.
I did.
So I wanted to ask you what you thought of it.
I enjoyed it. I do want to say I don't remember Audio Lust well enough to compare them, so I can't really compare them. That being said, I did enjoy Anamoya.
Anamoya.
The middle of it is a little bit weaker, but there are songs on it that I really, really liked and that, are kind of in my spin now. I would give it like a solid, a really good like 4.
Okay, nice. I gave it a 3, and I gave Audio Lust a 3.5. So I think it's a step down. The only song that I really loved was Sugar with Shy Girl, which came out as a single. But that one I immediately was like, yeah, he's back to form. And I think sitting with it a little bit longer will kind of, it'll unlock other things in the music. It's still good. Like,
No, yeah,
it's not
definitely.
going to go on my top 10 list for the year, but it's solid. Also, one of my favorite album covers I've ever seen. It is beautiful.
I agree.
I think it's a painting.
It is so gorgeous.
And before we get into what we're listening to this week, I do have a song, which is Space Invader by Landon Conrath. Shout out to Landon Conrath. I saw him live in LA, and he's from St. Paul, Minnesota. So big shout out to the Midwest. And if you like fun indie pop, this is for you. It's a really good song, and he's releasing an EP soon that looks like it'll be really good because the other single that he's released from it was also very good. So big shout out there. Right before we get into the album, I wrote down a note for myself, and I don't know that I want to stick to it, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. It says, propose changing the Kesha effect to the indie effect for real. Because I can almost guarantee that you're going to have Kesha effect on here. But then I thought about it more, and it's like, I don't know. I kind of like keeping it as the Kesha effect. So I did want to bring that up.
I will say I approve. At the same time, I do also really like the Kesha effect. Maybe we can do a little vote for our fans.
We can use them interchangeably too.
That's true. We could say the Kesha / indie effect.
I still have to type this up and put it somewhere, maybe in a link on our link tree. Hint, hint, everybody, check it out. But I would like to explain all of the effects, and because I know we're going to have some more coming up.
We're going to have a lot more. Knowing me, a lot more.
Yeah.
We also need to add in the Coppola effect for you.
That's true. Yeah. When a story is just so long that I'd stop caring about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that brings us to our album this week. This is Lush by Snail Mail. I'm not even going to ask you if you've heard of her. I know you haven't.
Nope.
So getting right into it, this album was released June 8th, 2018 by Matador Records. That's our second Matador album. The first one was Boards of Canada, interestingly.
Go Matadors.
Yes, go see Sun Matadors. I'm sure they're not doing well in whatever sports they're playing right now, if any.
Oh, 100%.
Maybe, I don't think college basketball started yet, but last year they did pretty well for a while, and then they just completely fell apart. I was rooting for them.
I would not be surprised considering that, I never went and supported, to be honest. Sorry, guys.
I put down the Matadors as one of my teams on the CBS Sports app, and it doesn't even have information about them. It says no upcoming games because even though they're
Christ, that's
Division
crazy.
1. We went to a Division 1 school and nobody cares.
That's life.
Anyway, this was Matador Records. Snail Mail is Lindsay Jordan. She's a guitarist and singer and songwriter. She released her first body of work, which was called Habit. It was an EP at age 15.
Damn.
Yeah. And her debut album, Lush, our album, at age 18.
That's crazy.
So in case you want to feel bad about yourself for not doing anything, I looked up her birthday to verify her age of when it came out, and she turned 18 a week after the album. Or sorry, she turned 19 a week after the album came out.
That's crazy.
Which also is crazy because I found this album in 2018, and I would have been 17 when I found it, and I had no idea we were that close in age. I always just assume that everyone's 10 years older than me. which I can't really do anymore as I'm getting older.
I feel like that's makes sense. You know, when you see someone that's already producing music and already has a certain level of like acclaim, you're like, oh, they have to be older than me, right? That's kind of what I felt like researching the film that we're going to talk about, considering how old they were when they won their Oscars. I was like, excuse me?
But she is from Baltimore, technically Ellicott City, Maryland, which is a suburb of Baltimore. But shout out to Maryland.
Hell yeah.
And she also takes a long time to release music. Her second album was in 2021, which was 3 years after. And she has not released music since.
Has she been like touring though or anything like that?
Funny you ask. She did a few covers of songs. She went on a few little tours and she acted in I Saw the TV Glow.
Oh my.
Which you may have seen.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know who she played?
No idea, but she's blonde.
Guess I got to rewatch that movie.
Guess you have to, yeah. That's the background information I got. Now, on the album, there were 3 singles released from the album. Pristine in March of 2018, and The Fader called it an indie rock masterpiece. That was the first single off the album. They were already ready to crown her as a genius, which I think is fair. Heat Wave in April, and this song peaked at 94 in Belgium. Shout out Belgium. And the final single, Let's Find an Out, in May of 2018. The album was really well received and was rated among the best albums of 2018. However, it did not chart on the Billboard 200, which is kind of crazy. I have almost no recollection of how I found this. I thought I would have found it from New Music Friday. Turns out I found it in August of 2018. And the first song I heard was Speaking Terms, which I will talk in depth about later. But that was the song that I heard. And then I think like a week later, I was like, I should listen to the rest of the album. And I did. And I really liked it. To spoil it a little bit for you, all songs on this album are written by Lindsey Jordan and produced by Jake Aaron. Drums are by Ray Brown. Bass by Alex Bass. It's probably Bass, but I just wanted to say that because his name is literally Bass. Shout out.
Hell yeah.
Talk about nominative determinism right there. French horn by James Richardson. Percussion by Sam Hubel. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Piano, organ, ambient guitar, and percussion by Jake Aaron. Mixed by Jake Aaron. And mastered by Joe Laporta, who also mastered Whitney's album that we did 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so, would you look at that?
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
This is kind of why I also wanted to talk about mixing and mastering on the podcast, because we were going to have so many connections, because there's only so few people that know how to do it so well. And now, I think your favorite song will either be Intro or Let's Find an Out, because Let's Find an Out is the most different. And I'm going to have a bold prediction here. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're really going to like this album that much. I'm thinking a 2.5 for the album overall.
Ooh.
So
I guess we'll just see.
We will have to see. With track number 1, Intro. It is a beautiful, melancholic lament, and it feels like giving up. This is a 4. What did you think?
The first thing that I wrote down was, it's not what I expected.
Classic.
And exactly what I expected at the same time.
Ooh, I like this.
Well, I was not expecting either of those things. I was not expecting to have both of those things together, pretty much. I never thought that would happen, but I honestly don't have much to say about it either, because it is an intro. But it does feel very dreamy, which I do like. Ultimately, I think it's okay. It's a 3.
That's good.
This is not my favorite song.
Because it could be Let's Find an Out. I had to throw it in there at the end because I thought, well, it is indeed, there's an off chance that the first thing you hear is going to be your favorite thing, because you're just going to lock into the Kesha effect right away, which I assume will be coming soon.
We'll talk about it probably in a few seconds, I think.
Track number 2, Pristine. I am legally obligated to mention the guitar tone on the song because it's so nice, and it's probably in the Mount Rushmore of indie rock. She's also a guitarist, so I read somewhere that she was classically trained. I could not find that when I was researching, but I feel like maybe that was an interview she said. But she's been playing guitar since she was 5, so obviously she knows the instrument extremely well. And you can tell, I think.
No. Yeah, 100%.
This song has a nice big chorus with a great end, and she almost belts the last line, I'll never love anyone else. Great last line.
Mm-hmm.
Her delivery on Who Do You Change For in the outro is one of the moments I remember most from this album. There's a few of them where I just, the way she pronounces words is just locked into my mind. This song is a 4.5.
Wow.
What did you think?
That's very, very high. I will say the catch effect did like appear with the second song. In large part because like the first two songs do feel in a lot of ways very connected. It's almost like one song, which is ironic because I feel like Pristine is just a better version of the intro. I feel like that's what the intro should have been more, in my opinion. I did want to mention the bridges, I think, were the best part of the song to me. I felt like that was the strongest part of the song. And yeah, I liked it. This is a 3.5. I don't dislike the style. I'll enjoy it, even if we might talk a lot about the Kesha effect. So
I was expecting you to say that you didn't like her voice because I have heard that a lot from people who can't get into this.
yeah.
But I like it. I think it works so well. It's unique. You know it's her.
Yeah, I don't really mind her voice. I feel like that's just like it fits the style.
She leans more into like emo. I guess like the way that she sings and the melodies it's a lot more related to like Midwest emo than I kind of realized it was, but it's also got that kind of like slacker rock vibe to it. So,
Which yeah, I can totally see that.
was that your favorite?
This is not my favorite.
Do you go higher than 3.5?
Yes.
Oh.
Hmm.
Okay.
So we're just gonna have to wait and see.
You're going to surprise me.
Hmm.
Do you have a choice for what my favorite song is on here, or did you not think about it? Because there's no piano on the album, so it's going to be a lot harder to choose.
Makes it harder. I mean, I could just go for the track 9 theory.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do it. I'll just go with track 9, Deep Sea. That's your favorite track.
Track 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Before that, we have to get to track number 3, Speaking Terms. This is the first song I heard by her, and probably her best ever. I'm sorry, but this is my favorite song on the album.
Ooh,
This is one of the greatest
nice.
indie rock songs of all time. I think it has the best chorus on the album, and the chorus also evolves as the song goes on, kind of like the melodies in general evolve.
Yeah.
It modulates in the second verse. It's both chords and a melody and like a strumming pattern. And the beginning of the song, that's like the intro to the song. And then in the second verse, it changes. We get a different chord. And then at the end, it goes back to the original. And you're kind of like in this cycle, which I thought was really cool. And I've always loved that about this song because it kind of plays with your expectations a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely.
It's all ash and dust. Gotta shout that out. And this is one of my favorite autumn songs of all time. And that kind of brings me into why I chose this album. This album has always felt like the fall to me, even though I first heard it in August and it came out in June. And she mentions June in one of the songs. There's something about the music that just feels like the season's changing, the leaves are starting to fall, which I guess is not an experience that you've had necessarily being from LA. Yeah, so that's why I chose this. And then it's also melancholic, which the little bit that I knew about Good Will Hunting is it's kind of sad. Before I let you speak, this is a 5. This is the best song on the album, in my opinion. What'd you think?
I was not expecting you to go that high on this album, to be honest. That being said, just how I thought your favorite song was another song, but it was actually this one. You thought that my favorite song was another one, but it's also actually this one.
Whoa, we agree.
We agree. I think that this is 100% the strongest song on the album. And it's in this song where, as you were talking about, the guitar work stands out the most to me. You know, especially those, strumming sections, or just like the strumming throughout, I guess I should say. And the production that particularly stood out to me is the part that comes in after the lyric, I'll see you around.
Yeah.
I feel like in some ways that that type of production is maybe what's missing for me in indie. And that's what really like raised the song up for me. Yeah, this is a 4. This is my favorite song on the album.
Let's go. Oh my
Yep.
God, we have the same
Let's
favorite
go.
song. This might be the first time that's ever happened.
I think that literally is. This is like a crazy episode.
It is a crazy episode. I was going to say, because I don't think our favorite song on The Night Game was A Postcard from the City of Angels, because I'm pretty sure I said my favorite was Magic Trick, which I know I gave both of them a 5. So
Yeah, I think we did have different favorite songs, which that was like half a year ago at this point, which is kind of crazy. But anyways.
But okay, so we've reached the high point of the album, I guess.
And the high point of the episode. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe we're gonna hate Good Will Hunting. I have no idea. Track number 4, Heat Wave. This is like when Dylan went electric. We get an electric guitar in here. This song has a large chorus. It feels more spiritually tied to Pristine, in my opinion. The instrumentation is so lush on this song, and pun is not intended, but it's especially lush in the outro. And I was going to save that for this song when you brought it up in speaking terms. It is just very like fully realized, and it seems to be only a few guitars that just creates this like massive sound, and it's really good. It's very well done. I like this one a lot too. This one's a 4.5. And I have to say, much like the Maroon 5, maybe this is the Maroon 5 effect. I think the first part of this album is the strongest. And not to say the rest of it isn't strong, because I'm still going to give this pretty high scores just to spoil it. But I think that it is very similar to the Maroon 5 album in that way, where it's like right away we kind of get the best moment.
And I do agree with that. So for Heatwave, in many ways, I think there's similarities to speaking terms in terms of, what you're talking about, how it builds, how it creates this sound with very few instruments, which you wouldn't really think to be possible. I think for me, the song actually made me think of summer a little bit.
I can see that.
Right? It was like it's interesting how the song before, how speaking terms makes me think of autumn, and then this song makes me think of summer. Again, I don't think that it's as strong as speaking terms, which is obviously my favorite song. I still like the song. It's a 3.5 for me.
We're kind of mirroring each other so far.
We're just like several points down.
Maybe not so much on intro, but
on everything else.
Very interesting. Track number 5, Stick. I don't really have a lot to say about this. It's just a nice ballad. This one's a 4. I like it.
I particularly enjoyed the quieter parts in the song where it's literally just the guitar and the drums with the voice.
I like how that can describe basically the entire song.
That's true.
But like there is a quieter part for sure.
No, yeah, and that I think those parts particularly worked for me. I don't know if the ending worked as much. It was going to be pretty high there. Like, no, it wasn't going to be my number one, but it was going to be pretty close to speaking terms. But I feel like the ending actually took that down for me, where it is, it kind of remains at a 3.5, even though I do prefer it to Heatwave and Pristine. So I don't know. It's kind of not a mixed bag because I did like everything, but with a few changes, it might have been even higher up there for me. But I still like it.
Weirdly, I like the outro the most, I think, out of the rest of the song. I think that's when it really it finds its footing for me. So we have to disagree, but we still both like the song. So
we're still in agreement there.
Track number 6, Let's Find an Out. This is what I thought would be your favorite song. It is a stream of consciousness song that almost feels like an interlude, which is kind of why I felt weird picking it, but it also was a single. But it has a nice vibe and it has some great guitar playing, and it's just really short, and it just feels different than the other songs on the album. The most different, I think. But I liked it, and I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I agree. I even wrote it feels like quite different from the other songs while having a lot of similarities. It's an interesting effect. I feel like that's kind of why, the quote unquote Kesha effect / indie effect on this album didn't affect me as much, at least in the first half. Even though the Kesha / indie effect was present, it didn't affect, things so much for me because it was kind of this mix of, yes, it does sound very similar, but it also sounds very different at the same time. I also did want to shout out the guitar work on this song too, specifically. Obviously, it's present everywhere. It's, really good everywhere. But I feel like it's in this song where you can really hear just how good it is along with speaking terms. It's also quite a short song too, which I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah, which is why it kind of feels like an interlude, and
right?
There's no chorus in it. It's just 2 or 3 verses depending on what you believe. It's not even really a folk song. It's just stream of consciousness. It's really interesting. It's super unique in the album.
Oh yeah, 100%. And there's also, those instrumental sections, particularly in the opening, which I feel like kind of add to that feeling. Again, kind of staying consistent. This is a 3.5.
We have a 3.5 on this album quite a bit. We have a 3.5 on Whitney. Is that the indie score overall, I wonder?
I honestly feel like that might just be the indie score.
Pretty good high average.
Yeah, that's a good score. It does maybe show that I'm not the most fond of indie. I prefer other genres, but it's still a genre that I enjoy. It's kind of like in the middle for me there, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like since it's so consistent, I would almost kick it up above like the average genre, because I feel like you're higher on indie than you are on like hip hop or I mean, we've only done Prince for R&B and SZA, which both we didn't
Yeah.
really care for that much. So I can't really make a decision there yet, but you know. And I also wanted to mention about Let's Find It Out. This album can be split into two sides, side A and side B. And side A obviously has 5 songs, and then side B has 5 songs. Let's Find It Out acts as kind of the intro to the second side. I'm going to be weird, and I'm going to say that I think that side B isn't as strong as side A, but there are still good songs on here. So, with that, track 7, Golden Dream. To me, this is speaking terms light. It's an upbeat verse. It has dense guitar melodies and rhythms that it breaks apart for a smaller halftime chorus, kind of structured almost like speaking terms. Stupid, stupid me. Actually, stupid, stupid, stupid me at the end. And I said indie really was way better in the 2010s than it is now. This is a 4.5. I do really like this song. It feels like speaking terms, but it's just got that like different edge to it that I like in a different way, you know?
That's interesting because I agree that it feels kind of like speaking terms light. But for me, that did kind of take it down because it felt like a double, indie effect, Kesha effect. I literally wrote, this feels like a retread of some of the previous songs. It's a 3 for me. It's not, a bad song. I just don't think it's, nearly as strong as the previous songs on the album.
Yeah, that's fair. Since we've been talking, I did kind of think that would happen now that I know you actually do enjoy the album, because it's bound to happen at some point. And I think that this was the song that feels the most like another song on the album. Like I kind of said that Pristine and Heatwave feel similar, but I think Speaking Terms and Golden Dream feel the most similar as 2 songs. Track number 8, Full Control. The chorus in this song is the big moment. It feels bigger than a lot of the other choruses on the album, and it feels kind of like a pop chorus more, where it wants you to pay attention. Even when it's love, even when it's not, I wrote down. Like that, we get the dichotomy between the two. Her pronunciation of "it goes to nothing and it goes to black" is the other moment on this album that I always remember, is just locked into my head. And I want to mention, before I give my score, something that I mentioned to you before we started recording, which is music to listen to while you're writing. This is one of my go-to albums when I'm writing something. It is so interesting that you are able to pay attention to it when you want to, but it's also the perfect kind of music that you can just hear and let it wash over you and not pay attention to it and still get so much from it. And that's why I love this album for writing. I have a few other ones that we will cover at some point on the podcast, but this is one that I specifically love. And I think indie music is great for writing, especially if you're writing something that feels like it should have indie music in it. But I gave this song a 4. What did you think?
Interestingly enough, this song felt less cohesive to me than a lot of the previous songs. This album in general is very cohesive, and the songs tend to be very cohesive. And this is maybe the first song where it just didn't really feel like that to me. I also did write down a note for this song where I pretty much wrote like, oh, what if I don't mind the Kesha effect with this album as much because I'm getting more used to the Kesha effect, which might be true. Maybe like that will lead me to liking indie more and more. Remains to be seen. We'll see. I think this is a 3-2, just like the previous song. Again, I think it's solid, but as I said before, it's less cohesive. I don't think it works as well as, the songs in the first half of the album. Pretty much the first 6 songs, 2 through 6.
Track number 9, Deep Sea. I think this song sounds like swimming in a cold lake at night. It's just a nice sleepy ballad. I don't really have much else to say. It's a 4 for me. I really like it.
You see, this is why I was wrong to even pick the song, because I forgot it's a ballad. You're not the biggest ballad guy.
I still gave it a 4. I like it.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I should have known.
Yeah. Also, I did want to mention that I did not pick a least favorite song on this album because to me, there isn't really one that I don't like. I think by default, it would be intro because it's not really a full song, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about any time later. Well, right after this, and you'll kind of see why.
Yeah.
I guess, like, by default, that would be, but the lowest rated song on here is a 4, which is pretty high.
For me, it's interesting because I feel like this song is one of the songs that feels kind of different from the rest of the album. You know, it's a slower, quieter song. In so many ways, it feels like, you know, you're in the deep sea, which I do feel like makes it very fitting. But for me, it did go on for too long, and it did kind of feel a bit drony, which kind of leaves it at a 3. It didn't really make it go up or down for me, but it did kind of just leave it there. And I don't really have much to say. I don't know if this song is my least favorite or not to spoil it, the next song, but because I also didn't like consciously think of one and pick one. And I feel like because I gave these last 4 songs the same score, it's kind of hard for me to choose with the Kesha effect. But I could see it being this song.
I'm going to say something crazy because when I listen to this album, again, this is also not an album that I listen to a lot because I feel like it is super emotional to me in a way that, like, it feels like the Bon Iver album when I listen to it, where it's like, it's almost hard to listen to sometimes. Listening back to it, I was kind of disappointed by Deep Sea and Anytime. And I was like, I thought I liked those songs more. Well, I listened to it again today to finalize my notes, and I was like, oh my God, Anytime is amazing. I need to kick that up an entire point. So I wonder if something will happen with you with that too, because I feel like we're kind of in agreement in on this album, almost unlike any other album before. And I wonder if you'll also have that effect, because I feel like Anytime after Deep Sea just kind of feels like more of the same. But then it's also like when you listen to it again, it's like, no, there's so much more there that I feel like I missed. With that, Anytime is track number 10. This is a return to the intro, which for some reason I hadn't really thought about. This is literally just the intro. Like, the intro is the same. I don't know how I've never really, like, consciously thought about that. Listening to this album again for the first time in probably like 2 years, I got so many different feelings from it than I did before. Almost like that time away from it kind of allowed me to be able to listen to it more. I feel like I think this is going to kind of make it into the regular rotation now, instead of just being like reserved for specific occasions. And then I also wrote about this song and about Deep Sea. The last 2 songs feel like 90s alt rock. And this one, Anytime, feels like Parachutes era Coldplay, which I have never thought about, but hearing it for the whatever 50th time today, I was like, wow, this almost like could be like a song from 1999. It's really nice. And once you get it like kind of lock into that mode of like, this is a 90s song, it's like, whoa, this is actually like way better than I thought. And I don't know why that worked for me, but it did. And yeah, and then we also have great lyrics. In the end, you could waste your whole life anyways, and I want better for you. Love that line. This is a 4.5, and I think this is a great way to end the album. It just didn't hit for me re-listening to it until it did hit for me, and then I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I mean, you kind of said that you didn't like this one with Deep Sea, so what did you think about it and your initial reaction?
You know, I gave it a 3 too because I felt like it kind of felt like a retread of Deep Sea, which already didn't work for me.
Even though it's actually a retread of Intro.
Yeah, which I did not notice at all. But after hearing what you said, I'm very interested to see what would happen if I just go back and listen to it. Because maybe, that would change. And maybe not listening to it right after Deep Sea could also change my score. So I'm very, very interested.
And I think that the track listing here is one where it's like, I feel like Deep Sea probably should have been right after Let's Find an Out before Golden Dream. I was thinking about that of like where I would put it because I do think Anytime has to be the closer because intro is the intro. Like, and it also made me listening to the song made me go back to the intro and kind of reevaluate it and kind of figure out how that like works as the like overall story for the album. And I think it's really nice. And that actually kicked up my score for the album by zero point 0.5 after I finished this song. With that, what is your score for the album?
So I've been going back and forth a lot. I've been having trouble picking a score because I kind of go back and forth between a 3 and a 3.5. And the 3 is kind of influenced by like the back half of the album and the intro, while the 3.5 is obviously scored by, songs through to 2 through 6, especially speaking terms. I'm kind of stuck, to be honest.
Do you want me to tell you my score?
Mm-hmm.
This was a 4. Right away when before I even listened to it, I was like, this is a 4. Listened to it, that was a 4. And then it clicked for me again, like it has done so many times before. And I'm like, no, this is a 4.5. It actually is that good to me. And I think this is probably my highest rated album in the indie rock genre, where it's just like primary indie rock. I would say go for the 3.5 because I do think that the end of it can kind of influence you to go a little bit lower. But those first few songs are such like high highs that it works so well. And I think thinking of that, to me, it went higher, but then also like reevaluating Anytime, I was like, no, this actually is a 4.5. So that's my score. What have you chosen?
And that makes me wonder if I gave it a 3 now and I went back, it would bump up to 3.5. The way it kind of went from a 4 to a 4.5 for you. And I feel like that's kind of making me stick in between the two for right now. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a 3.5, but it's a very low 3.5 until I return from it. It's going to be like a low 3.5, high 3. So pretty much just the middle, a 3.25.
3.25, but you'll mark it as a 3.5. You'll round up on Rate Your Music.
Yes.
Cool. And I know you're writing these days, so I have to say it again. Put this on while you're writing. It's gonna catch you. And it's such lush music. Wow, look what I did there. I was trying to not say that, but unfortunately is a great word for describing instrumentation.
It makes me feel like a snail. See what I did there?
Wow. Very good. We're just full of surprises this episode.
Yes, exactly.
And we got another surprise for you, and that surprise is called Matt Damon and Ben Affleck writing. I think it's time for Good Will Hunting. And I'm not even going to ask you my question of, are you going to listen to this again? Because I'm going to make you listen to it again while you're writing. So.
Okay. You're going to force me?
Yes. Take it away.
Before I jump into the credits and the notes I have, I did want to say 2 things. First of all, this is, I think, so far one of the few films on this podcast that I have not actually seen until I watched it for the podcast episode. That's the first thing.
Is this the first one?
Dangerous Liaisons was the first. So this is only the second. So it's, we haven't done it that much.
You're in bad company, in my opinion. But
I mean, the other thing I wanted to say was I did want to throw out this anecdote, which was something that actually happened to me, where I didn't realize that the title was saying like Will Hunting, like Will Hunting is the person. So he's like Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, I only learned that like 2 months ago.
Well, what I always thought the title was about hunting. So people are hunting with goodwill. That's what I thought the title was, like, for years. And I was like, okay, why are they talking about hunting in a movie about a psychiatrist and like this guy?
Okay, so you did know what it was about.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't. I thought like, oh, maybe they go hunting together or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
But I was just very confused. So I had to throw that out there.
It is a very strange, annoyingly on the nose title for a film like this. I have to say that.
Yeah, right?
I also thought it was one word, Goodwill, which I guess would imply that they were hunting in a Goodwill store. But I always thought it was because it's about a therapist, is they were hunting for, I assumed, Matt Damon's character's goodness, which is why I assumed it was one word. But I guess that is kind of the pun. But
yeah, maybe they did it as a play on words. It's just not a play on words I particularly like.
Yeah. Well, Matt Damon went to Harvard, so can you blame him?
So he's smarter
Actually,
than us.
yes, you can. You're right. Yeah, exactly.
He went there from Boston Yard. That's the only time I'm going to do that. Sorry, guys. I apologize already.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's also Harvard Yard.
Harvard Yard.
See, you did it again. I knew I could bait you into it. That's so good. All right,
Okay.
IMDb logline. We need to lock it.
You got me so good with that one. All right, the log line. Are you ready to give me your thoughts on this?
I'm ready.
A therapist counsels Will Hunting, a janitor with a genius IQ. That's the whole log line.
That's it?
That's it.
That's stupid.
That's
ridiculous.
a terrible log line. I mean, the thing is, that is kind of what it's about, but it's also not like what it's about. Like, it leaves out so much.
There's literally no drama in the log line. That is like, that's a fact. That's not a log line.
Literally. So
That's bad.
that's boo. We're having trouble with the title and with the log line. But
We're off to a bad start here.
we're off to a pretty bad start. But let's get through all the credits quickly. The film is directed by Gus Van Sant. It's produced by Lawrence Bender, written, of course, by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I can't say this word, man. Every single freaking week, I can't say cinematography. There we go. Cinematography by Jean-Yves Escoffier. I believe that's how you say his name. Apologies if it's not. Bro, I can say that name and I can't say cinematography. That's crazy. Edited by Pietro Scalia. Music by Danny Elfman, which I had no idea the music was written by him until after I watched the film. Distributed, of course, by Miramax Films and starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Robin Williams, Stellan Skarsgård, and Minnie Driver.
Yeah, shout out Harvey Weinstein for all of those people who don't know that Miramax is Harvey Weinstein. My mom made me watch their acceptance speech at the Oscars after the movie.
Oh, God.
She was like, it's so cute. They're so nervous. And then they get up there and they thank Harvey Weinstein. And I was like, oh, God, he has been thanked as many times as God or Jesus or whatever the quote is.
He was thanked for like 20 years straight at the Oscars by multiple people. Like, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. And I mean, for those of you who don't know, he made the company Miramax with his brother, who I think is also a rapist. Probably.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Bob.
Yeah. And they named the company after their parents. So their parents' names are Mira and Max. So that's why it's called Miramax.
I did not know that. I assumed it was like Cinemax, like they were trying to do something in Mira's look, you know?
Yeah.
But
no, they did it after their parents. And then, of course,
wow,
they right away started doing
that's
their
a
stuff.
good fun fact. I like that.
Yeah, right? But now we got to talk about some 20-year-olds writing a screenplay.
We've all been there.
We've all been there, literally, the two of us. I was there this morning, and it wasn't very fun. But anyways, as everything that has to do with Boston, our story starts with Harvard. Matt Damon started writing what would eventually become this film in a playwriting class he was taking during his last semester at Harvard. And he was working with his then girlfriend, Skylar Sattenstein, who would be credited in the closing credits. I wonder where he got the name for his girlfriend in the film. And they worked together and submitted a 40-page screenplay for the class. He wanted to continue working on it, though, and he asked his childhood best friend, Ben Affleck, to develop it with him. And so they wrote an initial script that was a thriller about a super intelligent young man caught in the rough and tumble streets of South Boston who is targeted by the government who want to recruit him.
That's a very different movie, but actually sounds really good. I would watch that.
Yes, it does sound really good. I would watch it. And I believe that in that version, he already did go to a psychiatrist. It's just that was not the focus of the film. It was instead the thriller aspects. Now, by this point, both Damon and Affleck had been working as actors. They had appeared in films, but they were not very well known. They were still smaller actors. Damon had appeared in Mystic Pizza. Affleck was in, Dazed and Confused. And pretty much through the people that they met, they were able to pass on the script. And it eventually got to Castle Rock Entertainment.
It's Rob Reiner, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, he was one of the creators, and he was then the president. And of course, a very well-known, fantastic director. He directed Stand By Me, A Few Good Men, Spinal Tap, and a lot of others. And Castle Rock was behind a lot of very acclaimed films, movies like When Harry Met Sally, Misery, Shawshank Redemption, etc., etc. So quite a prestigious kind of mini major studio at the time. And they actually bought the script. They bought it for $675,000 against $775,000, which is an industry term meaning that when they first buy it, they will give you the 675,000, and then if it actually gets made, they will give you that last 100,000. So they got quite a big paycheck from selling the script. And Rob Reiner kind of helped them continue working on it. He was the one that actually told them that they should drop the thriller aspects and just focus on the relationship between Will and his psychiatrist. Some other big names also read it. Terrence Malick read it, who is a famous director, directed Tree of Life, The Thin Red Line, and a lot of others. And he was the one that actually suggested the film end with Will's decision to leave for California instead of actually showing him leave with Skylar, which was what was originally in the script.
That's a good ending too. Great note there.
And then a little connection to our Butch Cassidy episode. William Goldman also read it. And this actually sparked a lot of rumors that he ghost wrote it or worked as a script doctor on it, but he has actually denied that. And he said that he wished that he actually worked on it, but he didn't. It seems like it was mostly, if not totally, Affleck and Damon that wrote the script.
I will say that's how you know a script is good, is if people think William Goldman wrote it and he has to say, I wish I did.
There was a problem that quickly arose, and that was that Affleck and Damon wanted to act in the film themselves. But obviously, there were two unknowns at the time, and studio executives wanted names. Specifically, they were throwing around Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, which, I'm sorry, but they would not work as these like Boston guys. I feel like it would not have worked as well.
I could see maybe Leo. Definitely not Brad Pitt, though.
Yeah, definitely not Brad Pitt. 100% no. Eventually, Castle Rock agreed to put the film into turnaround, which pretty much means that another studio can buy it as long as they give Castle Rock back the money they spent on it. And they pretty much agreed to do this for Damon and Affleck. They told them, if you can find someone else that will buy it from us and let you be in the film, go for it. If not, we are going to make it ourselves and you're not going to be in it. So pretty much they had to find someone else if they wanted to act in it. Luckily, both had worked with Kevin Smith, probably most famously known for his low-budget buddy comedy Clerks. Now, Damon and Affleck had both recently worked with him, and I believe Affleck was actually working with him at the time. And they gave him the script, and he said, oh, I know who to show this to. And that was, of course, Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Robin Williams. I was excited. Oh, God, Harvey Weinstein.
He's back, guys. Harvey Weinstein is back. And he loved it. And he agreed to pay Castle Rock for the rights. And he told Matt Damon and Ben Affleck that they could star in it.
Cheap-ass Harvey Weinstein, who didn't want to fund The Lord of the Rings, thought this was a good idea. Interesting.
He was like, hey, I can get more people to thank me at the Oscars, so I'm going to pay for this.
He likes his white American men.
Exactly. Now, he did request that one scene get cut out. And this was a makeout scene between Will and Sean. Yes, you heard that right. Because Matt Damon and Ben Affleck had wrote a new scene for the script to see if executives would actually read the whole thing. This was not supposed to be in the final film. They just did it as a little trick to see if anyone would catch it. And the only one who did was Harvey Weinstein. Probably because he's a perv.
Well, yeah, but I mean that unfortunately looks good on Harvey Weinstein, where it's like he actually read the script, but at the same time, that is an amazing thing to do for that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck did. Like, that's a great idea, and that's the type of thing that they would do. I mean, they're 21 at this point or something, like 25.
Definitely very early 20s. Yeah.
So our age.
Yeah, pretty much our age.
And what are we doing?
And what are we doing? We're doing a podcast.
Making a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how we break into Hollywood now.
Exactly. You see, we sell the podcast as like a movie.
I'm getting War of the Worlds Ice Cube vibes from a podcast movie.
Oh, God.
You know, we shoot it entirely over Zoom.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
Yeah, one of us gets abducted and the other person has to solve the mystery. Anyway, they did consider several directors. One was Michael Mann, who was probably most known for directing thrillers. And another was Mel Gibson, who, of course...
Is most known for racism.
and homophobia, and probably some sexism too.
Definitely, yeah.
Affleck also asked Kevin Smith, but he told them that they needed an actually good director, so he turned them down. Which, hey, like, kudos to, knowing what you're good at. I think he's probably really good at, like, making films like Clerks. I haven't seen it, so I can't say. But finally, they did agree on Gus Van Sant because his work had left a favorable impression on them. The thing is, they knew that there were two unknowns, so they would need a name actor to play Sean. And you can kind of see this all over Hollywood. A lot of people get their start when a name actor likes their work. Quentin Tarantino was kind of allowed to make Reservoir Dogs just because Harvey Keitel liked the script and wanted him to direct. They definitely understood that that was the way to get things done, to kind of set the film up successfully. And here's where they got another stroke of luck, because Damon had just been cast in Francis Ford Coppola's film The Rainmaker in the lead role. So while he was working on the film, he gave Coppola the script, and Coppola passed it on to
Harvey Weinstein.
Exactly. No, you know who, to Robin Williams. And the first thing he said after he read the script was, "Who are these guys?" before he promptly joined the film, which I gotta say, it's another connection to last week's film. So there we go.
And we got Francis Ford Coppola in there too. We got so many things going on this episode.
And we got Harvey back for like our 4th episode or something like that.
Just what we wanted.
He's always there.
It wouldn't be an uncultured pop culture episode unless we have to talk about a predator or a pedophile.
That's right.
Or both.
That's right. Or both. Or two of them with his brother Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the cast was rounded out. Stellan Skarsgård joined on. Minnie Driver joined on. Affleck's own brother Casey joined on. That's probably the most annoying character in the film. Makes sense that Affleck would hire his younger brother, who was probably annoying him.
You say that as the younger brother.
I say that as the younger brother who understands the psychology of annoying your older brother or older sibling. So, yes, I completely understand. The film was shot generally in the greater Boston area, even though a lot of the university scenes were shot at the University of Toronto. They were able to do some limited filming on campus, but that was only after alumnus John Lithgow, who was obviously a famous director, intervened on their part and kind of pulled some strings. And I don't have much about production, to be honest, because most of what I wanted to talk about was the fact that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote the script and how. But I did want to give one note. Robin Williams' story about his wife's farts is actually fully improvised, to the point that Damon's laughing is also real because he was so caught off guard. Which, it's Robin Williams. He's like the improvising king of all time. No surprise there.
And it fits so well in the theme of the film, too.
I mean, I think it just shows you how versatile his mind was. Rest in peace. But now on to the release. So the film was released December 5th, 1997, and against a budget of $10 million, it grossed $225.9 million.
That's insane. Once again, Hollywood, $10 million for this movie. That'd be like, what, $30 million now these days? Make cheap movies.
It, of course, received widespread acclaim from critics and got 9 nominations at the 70th Academy Awards for Picture, Director, Actor for Damon, Supporting Actor for Williams, Supporting Actress for Driver, Screenplay written directly for the screen, getting a little bit shorter in that category now, Editing, Dramatic Score, and Original Song. And it actually won just 2, Supporting Actor for Robin Williams and Screenplay for Affleck and Damon, making Affleck the youngest winner for Best Screenplay at age 24.
Oh my God. That hurts.
That hurts so much. I'm turning 24 in like 2 months.
I'm already 24. I've already failed.
Well, we have another goalpost to aim for because Damon became the second youngest at 27.
Okay, that's better.
That's a little bit more achievable. I will say, if we go back to our Call Me By Your Name episode, James Ivory won at like 80 something, so I might as well aim for that.
Maybe by then Hollywood will be fixed. We'll have it figured out and we'll start making movies again.
The film jump-started both Affleck and Damon's careers. It catapulted them into stardom. And in many ways, it helped to cement Robin Williams' skill as not only a comedic but also a dramatic actor, arguably with other films such as Dead Poet Society and 1 Hour Photo, which came several years after this. This film has stood the test of time. It is a classic, probably one of the best well-known films of the 90s. So now, what did you know about this film going into it? And did any of that influence how you watched it at all?
Somewhat. I've heard people complain that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck won the Oscar for this because it's not that deep. I've heard that this is a really good movie. Multiple mental health professionals that I know have said this is one of their favorite movies because it accurately portrays what it's like to deal with someone as, I guess, to use the medical term, fucked up as Matt Damon is.
Yeah.
um, I had known like quite a bit about this film before going in. And then also my parents both said they really liked it and watched it in theaters in the 90s when it came out. So I had, I guess, mixed expectations of this is either going to be really good, I'm going to love it, or it's going to be so overrated. What did you think? Because you also have not seen this. So I'm going to turn this question back on you.
I mean, obviously going into it, I, knew it was written by Affleck and Damon. Obviously everyone talks about this film. Everyone says, oh, it's, a masterpiece. And then you have the other people saying, it's kind of like surface level, that kind of stuff. On top of that, I obviously knew about their Oscar win, being very, very young. So I definitely carried all of that. And I will say I always carry this fear with me that when I hear a lot of praise for a film, the film can never live up to it. And so I feel like this is one of the films that deserves two watches before I kind of fully make my mind up on it, because I think it deserves kind of that first one to, watch with those preconceived notions in my brain, and then a second time to kind of watch it as if I was watching it for the first time. And I do feel like for me, in this case, that did come true. I did only watch it once, but I feel like my views will solidify if I watched it again. So, yeah.
I was going to ask you that because weirdly, we're going to do a lot of agreeing here. I felt the same way. I watched it and I had my idea of what it is. And then I thought, I need to watch this again. And also, I want to watch this again. Not just to I need to. I was like, I want to see what else I missed now that I know the story, now that I know where it goes. I feel like there's a lot more to this film than I initially thought. Yeah, so I kind of feel the same way where it's like, I'm going to give my score, and I'm going to give that score in the idea that I'm going to watch this again and get to that score, essentially. In a weird way, it's kind of like how I think you were talking about Lush. You need to experience it more before you can lock in whatever that score is. Once again, we've kind of done a great job pairing these together in a weird way that is not something that we would have expected.
And not the actual reason we paired it in the first place either. That kind of leads me to my next question. Kind of with the background that we are the same ages that Affleck and Damon were when they were writing this film, considering that, we're also in our 20s, early 20s, they were too. Thoughts on the script? What did you think of the script, of the story, of, the kind of the characterizations in the film?
So I assumed that this would be kind of surface level and stupid because it's white dudes from Boston who are young. And I thought, there's no way they can handle emotions. And you know what? They actually can pretty well. I think this is written in an authentic way to what it's like to be a young person. I assume what it's like to be a young person in the 90s as well, because the 90s are obviously very different than the world that we are currently living in. It feels very authentic to that, but then it also feels very authentic to how a young person would write. I mean that in a way where it's not like it feels amateur. It just feels like there's almost like a hope that hasn't been beaten out of them by what it's like to work in Hollywood for 30 plus years or whatever, the level that you will get to at some some point,
I'm already
sadly.
there, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. The world is so different now
Yeah.
and so much worse in every way.
Oh, yeah.
I see why they won the Oscar. You know, I will say the people saying that this is an overrated film, I think are probably wrong. And this is kind of where I get into my score. I enjoyed myself watching this film, and I feel like I got quite a bit from it, but I feel like I'm still missing something that I need to rewatch it with the knowledge that I already know what's going to happen at the end of the film. You know, as you're going and you're also watching it with a critical lens, you're trying to think, okay, what are they doing well? What are they doing wrong? Like, how can I pick this apart so I have something to talk about, essentially? I think watching this without any of that, any of those preconceived notions, or looking for anything in particular is going to change it. So I enjoyed this and I'm going to rate it like I've watched it a second time, essentially. What did you think of the script? Because you are writing still, you're writing screenplays still.
I had such an interesting relationship with this film because as I was watching it, I did really have kind of those two sides in my head kind of pulling. I feel like in either direction of, the things that people have said of, they don't deserve this Oscar win, that it is very surface level. And then on the other hand, people saying, no, it's very deep, like they totally deserved it. First of all, I gotta agree, it does feel very much like it was written by 20-year-olds. Definitely with the element of like the feeling of hope that's present, but also just in a lot of the interactions in a way that makes it feel very authentic, which is the first thing I'm gonna say. The reasons why the scenes with all of his friends work so well is because you can tell this is just him writing about hanging out with his friends where where they were at that time, i.e. in their 20s. And that's why it works so well. And I think that's why, those scenes are so very strong. Now, when I was watching the film, I was like so stuck. And the reason why I was stuck was because like as I was watching the film, I was like, yeah, this is in many ways kind of like surface level in the sense of like, where it's going, right? Like foster kids, stuff like that. While I was watching it, I was like, this is surface level in that sense.
I guess I want to say the word cliche as well.
Or maybe cliche, yeah.
There's something more to it, but it is very much like predictable in a way.
But the thing that I think gets you with this film is that, yes, there are so many elements that are like that in this film, but then they take that and they put moments in it, such as the scene between Affleck and Damon where Affleck tells him, if you're still living next to me in 50 years, I'm going to kill you. Scenes like that add so much depth to it that they kind of take what seems like a very surface level story and themes and make it so much more. So I was constantly having this really like weird reaction where I was like, oh, I feel like this one thing, but then it's also this other thing at the same time. And I feel like because of all the things I've heard about this film, I couldn't settle on anything. But seeing like the amount of depth that was there, that they kind of added to what should have been a surface level story, especially considering that, they were 20. Because if I wrote this at this age, it would be surface level 100%. Like I would never try. And so because of that, I went with a score that I feel like I would give it after a second watch too. So we're kind of on the same exact page because I feel like even if you are stuck on what to give it, you can see how they added so much depth to this story.
On that note, I want to say that I am so surprised I've never watched this in a film class, and I also haven't heard of other people watching this in a film class because it feels like the perfect film for kind of tearing it apart in a way of like, how did they do that? Like, how did they construct it? How did they create such a real feeling world of what it's like to be in South Boston in the 90s? How did they create characters that are so, well, creating them as cliches, but then kind of breaking that? This is very well written. And I also saw a little thing. I don't know if it was on the Wikipedia page for the film, because I like to read about it, and it said that there's been like readings of this film and kind of the like social hierarchy between the Protestants versus the Catholics in Boston and kind of how that corresponds to like economic success. And it's Like there's so much more going on here that I think that they didn't even realize they were writing about in a way. They're just writing what they know and what's around them, what they grew up with. I was very impressed. I assume you have more questions before we give our score, correct?
I mean, I just had a few because I felt like there were a few things that were important to talk about.
Yeah, I'm going to keep holding my score hostage for now.
We got to keep it hostage, man, until the psychiatrist of questions can pull them out at the end. I mean, we have to kind of talk about Robin Williams' performance because, you know, you have an actor that is very known for being comedic, giving a mostly dramatic performance. Or hell, a dramatic performance, because I feel like a dramatic performance like should have some levity in it too. So what did you think of him in this film, especially after seeing Robin Williams in like The Birdcage and some other films?
It's a real Jim Carrey and Eternal Sunshine moment. People have said many times, if you can master comedy, you can master any other type of acting, writing, whatever that is. And he has, like, as simple as that. I thought that he was great in this. There were a few times where I was like, oh my God, it's like Armand. Like the way he said things, because that's just like how Robin Williams is. And also I wanted to say that we did not plan on having these episodes back to back. It just kind of worked out this way because we had to shuffle a few things around. And that I was kind of like, oh my God, we have 2 Robin Williams movies back to back. And I also wanted to say, it took forever for him to come in this film. Like, we were like 20 minutes into it before he showed up. And I was like, I kind of like that. Like because you know he's going to be there. You're just kind of constantly waiting. And I thought that was really well done too.
It's interesting because everyone kind of points to this film as the best, oh, look how far he went. He goes even farther than this. If you watch 1 Hour Photo, he plays like a kind of despicable character in that. He, along with like Jim Carrey, are the best examples of what you said, where if you can do comedy, you can do drama. Because they both turn in performances that feel so natural and that are so different from who they were or, you know, in Jim Carrey's case, are as people. Because, you know, you look at Robin Williams, at least his public persona, you know, it was so energetic, so outgoing, so fast. You know, he's always thinking up the next thing, you know, he's 5 steps ahead. And then he is able to play Sean as this very quiet, calm person. I wouldn't say it's an amazing transformation. You still feel Robin Williams in it, but it, I think, maybe showed you that he was much more than just his comedy persona in some ways. I did also want to say, not only are Matt Damon and Ben Affleck really, really good in this film in terms of their acting, but Stellan Skarsgård, I feel like, steals every freaking scene that he's in. And same with Minnie Driver. I think that both of them are kind of, I mean, I know Minnie Driver's nominated for Best Actress, but I feel like they're kind of underrated when this film is talked about. Because I feel like the both of them steal a bunch of scenes that they're in.
I agree. I did not know Minnie Driver was in this, and I didn't know she was allowed to be British either. That was kind of a surprise to me.
She has to be American every time.
I was expecting her to be American in this, but I'm kind of glad she wasn't.
I did feel that it was important to talk about the directing and cinematography before we gave our scores. I don't have a lot to say. I think that what Gus Van Sant and Jean-Yves Escoffier, watching the film, I definitely noticed the cinematography, and I thought it was very interesting because during the therapy scenes, there were so many moments where the camera was moving around like the 2 of them, which I thought was such an interesting effect. And yet for like the rest of the film, it's very still. I'm not sure like how that, like what impression that gives me yet. Did you have any thoughts on that? Did you notice that?
I noticed it a little bit, and I wanted to shout out one specific thing that I assume you also noticed that we're supposed to notice, but I still loved it, which is when they're sitting in the chairs in therapy, Robin Williams is telling the story about the Red Sox. We get kind of an overhead shot of the chairs arranged as the bases in a baseball diamond.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the like archive footage, and I was like, that's so good. Like, it's such a little thing, but it just like it shows how much the director and cinematographer care. And I feel like I talk about this a lot. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because everything sucks now, but the coloring in this is really nice too. It's so vibrant. You like,
it makes it feel like autumn to me.
Yes, very much. This is the perfect time for this movie as well. Like, this is when I come alive. Fall time. I'm so good at this. I love the cinematography. I like the shots. The ones I specifically remember when you said cinematography were him on the train, on the T, and kind of like that, the melancholy vibe of it. But the way that they used light as well was so nice with the light reflecting in through the windows, but then also the darkness of the tunnels. It was really well done. One thing I want to say that I did not think was well done was the score. I hated Danny Elfman's whimsical ass score in this movie. There is no reason it has to sound like that. It sounds like it's a science fiction or like a fantasy score, and it did not work for me at all. And it like actively took away from it for me.
Which makes a lot of sense for Danny Elfman, but doesn't make much sense for the film. I agree. Yeah, I think he is much better suited. Not saying he's a bad like music, writer. He I think is very good, but definitely his style is more suited to quirkier things, to more fantastical things than this. You know who I would have chosen for this? Thomas Newman. That man, I don't know if you've heard of any of Thomas Newman's scores, but freaking Thomas Newman, he knows how to write scores for films like this, let me tell you.
And I don't know if I'm going to butcher his name, Alexandre Desplat, if he was around and active during this time, but I feel like he would have done a really good
Oh,
score for this as well.
yeah.
I think he was a little bit later. Like, I think he was more like mid 2000s when he started, but I feel like his vibe like fits. I wanted to say that because that was one thing I was thinking of as I was watching this is like, oh God, here comes the whimsical ass score again. And I don't know. It was just like, why? Is it score time?
Before I gave the score, I did want to say, going back to the cinematography and directing, I feel like it's very easy to take a film like this and make it look very boring. Because a lot of it is people sitting and talking or standing and talking. And the fact that they were able to not only make the film look interesting, but also add so much, for instance, like what you said, the transition to the footage, the way the camera moves in the therapy scenes, all those kind of elements, the fact that they're able to add stuff like that and make the film more interesting visually, I think speaks to the strength of both Gus Van Sant and Jean-Yves Escoffier. Sorry.
You'll get it one of these times. I think you got it the first time, and it just hasn't worked since then. But
It's like me with cinematography.
correct.
There we go. That's better. But now, I do want to hear your score.
I watched this movie, and I thought this is a 4. When I watch this again, it'll be a 4.5. Therefore, my score is a 4.5.
That's really interesting. When I watched it, I was thinking, like after this first time, it would be a 3.5. After the second, it would be a 4. I know it's crazy. My score is lower than yours. I feel like, to me, any sort of film about a therapist and like their relationship to a client will pale in comparison to Ordinary People. And that's not to say that the films, like the other films, are bad. But I feel like that film has such a special place in my heart that it's kind of hard for anything else to reach that level. That being said, this could go higher. I could see this going higher the more I watch it, the more stuff I find in it. And maybe even after the second time I watch it, it could go up to a 4.5. As it stands, though, I'm putting it at a 4.
This is the second time this has happened. I knew this was going to happen with the album, but I also kind of thought this was going to happen with the film because these are the type of themes that I like in movies. And I tend to rate the movies that have these themes higher. I also thought about Ordinary People when watching this. Obviously, I gave that a 5, and it's one of my favorite movies that we've watched, and I put it in my top 4 on Letterboxd. I do think that this is not as good as Ordinary People. Ordinary People is so good at what it does, and that's all it needs to do. And I like this movie in a different way because of kind of the psychology of who this character is and how he fits into this society and like what his genius level gifts, I guess, mean for his future and for the people around him. And I think they did a really great job on all of that. So this will go up when I rewatch it. I actually kind of want to rewatch this like soon. It's just one that I feel like I can go back to. Where Ordinary People is so good that I feel like I can't go back to it because
You,
it's
you
so
need a
good.
break after that film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and I completely agree because I do want to rewatch Good Will Hunting, especially because Jennifer also wanted to watch it. We just didn't have time to watch it together because, our schedules for the past couple of days were so different. Especially because I would be interested to see what she thought of it as someone that is, a therapist.
Has she seen it before or not?
She has not. She has seen Ordinary People, but she has not seen Good Will Hunting.
Fun. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. But with that,
I was going to say, with that, I think that's it, right?
that's it. That's what we came here to talk about. And if you guys want to see what next week's episode is going to be, you can find that information on our Instagram, where we also will post fun videos.
Next week, it starts a very special month for us.
I wonder if you can guess what it is.
A hint. Look at the calendar of what this could possibly be.
Yes.
But keep your eyes peeled because we have a pretty good 4 weeks of films for you. And music, I must say.
And music that do still tie into the theme. And hey, if you want a little bit more, you can check out our Instagram and TikToks. Yes, we do have a TikTok now, where we do post fun little videos here and there. You can find that information on our link tree in the description of this podcast, or on Instagram. What else can they find in our link tree, Brandon?
Our Rate Your Music and our Letterboxd accounts, where we will give you all of this information if you felt like you didn't want to listen to the podcast, or which is the wrong answer.
Yes.
Or if you wanted to verify that what we said was correct and we stick by our word.
Furthermore, you can email us if you want to complain or tell us what a good job is. Or if you're a Nigerian prince who needs money, you can email us at upcpod@gmail.com. And as always, it always helps us when you rate, review on Apple Podcasts, or tell your family and friends about us. So spread the word, guys.
Yes. And I think that's all I have to say, other than next week is going to be really fun. So make sure you tune in. We'll see ya.